beautiful beings. It's Maya Joy and welcome to my brand new series where I am going to be answering your questions about my journey. All week long we will have daily videos answering the questions that you have posed to me. And Thursday, you guys, yay! Have you found with clients that you see many different life routes? Or is there just one? So when I first read this, I thought they were asking amongst clients. Like, is there essentially like a hero's journey and like we're all on it? I don't actually think that's what they meant. I think the person meant, have you found with clients, like in one single client, like when they ask questions about their journey, is there one path or is there like multiple paths that they can take in life? Like some people come here with highly structured plans and others come here with more loosely structured plans. There's no one here without a plan. So there's certain things that can be predicted because they're part of the plan. So we see certain fate and destiny markers. You can see them in the chart. And so like the yod is one of those markers. If you've got a yod in your chart, that's a lot of fate. Sometimes I see that there are many paths which all lead to the same destination or lesson. So the main key thing is that we learn what we came here to learn. We express the gifts and talents that we came here to express, and that we have the experiences that we came to experience. If there's a big lesson, it will haunt us. Even if we try to turn away from the path that we're on because we sense like, ooh, like I'm gonna have a big lesson about truth, I don't wanna have that lesson, like let me turn this way, then that life situation will become about that lesson too. Everything leads us back to a path, which includes like our lessons, the expression of our gifts and talents, and certain experiences that we wish to have. Experiences that expand our soul. So for some people, there's really mostly one path, although that's pretty rare. What's most common is like a main highway and there's like exits. And so like a person can exit for a while, but the highway goes like in one direction and it leads to like one destination. There are certain like check boxes of things that need to happen in a life, and a person will not transition to the other side or die until they have those experiences. Like some people have more experiences than others planned. The more that you have planned, the more regimented the life path is, because you've got to get more in a shorter period of time. So some people have what appears to be more free will because they actually have more time to accomplish less. Like in readings, I see what the guides show me, which is usually the next step. So like a lot of the difficult work that I do is in redirecting a person. Like maybe a person is this happens a lot, like completely focused or fixated on like finding their spouse or like relationships, but actually like what they're meant to be learning in their life like is health and wellness and physical well-being. They're focusing on their own self and their own goals. And like eventually that actually will lead them to relationships. So if I see like different routes, it's usually for a designated period of time. So for example, it is planned within the span of a life that a person will have partnership from age 30 to 36. And during that time, sometimes it's very strict where it's just, this is your partner, and if you resist that, you'll be alone. We're gonna keep sending that person to you because that's the person you agreed to spend this time with. But sometimes for some souls, there is like, okay, so you will explore partnership and learn these specific qualities during this specific time. And there's Jerry, or there's Benjamin, or there's Matthew. They're all soul connections, and part of the very exciting learning that you're gonna be doing during that time is in choice. And you're gonna be choosing which one to spend that time with. No matter who you choose, roughly around the age of 36, that connection is gonna come to an end, and then you're going to meet this other person with whom you'll spend the rest of your life. So like that's like the type of thing that I might see in a reading. What I see in a reading is based on what the person asks. And it's based on what the guides will provide. And there are times where the guides say, no. Person or this soul is learning to refine their decision-making process. Remind them to make decisions from, here's how they, like give them, so instead of answering the question itself, here's some advice for them about how to make the decision for themselves. Like that will sometimes happen. So it's so varied. Based on in the span of a life, there are key things that are definitely going to happen. There are other times where the theme itself is going to happen, but there are multiple expressions or choice points of how we'll experience that theme. We choose, but then they all lead back to the main path. So for example, like a person might have a destiny as a musician, and they go through this period of time where what they're learning is about playing together their instrument with others. There could have been built into the plan of the life, like, okay, you may live in New York City and you get to be a part of this band, or you might travel abroad and you study music at this university and you're part of this collective of musicians. Or the third option, you actually stay put, you create like your own group, you know, where you practice in your home and that kind of thing. And so there's like, but the key thing is like during that period, you're mastering playing music together with others. And that's like a part of your path. In a very, very highly regimented path, like there would be just New York City and just that opportunity. And like what the individual would experience is like an invitation to go to New York, for example. Maybe that comes through a scholarship or something like that, or an internship. If they don't go, then what they'll experience is nothing. Sometimes like if a person is in a life situation and like nothing's kind of happening, like there's nothing going on in their life, they're just like kind of sitting and there's like nothing's really taking traction. It could be because they're resisting like the next step on their journey, and because they're resisting it, there's nothing happening. So usually like when we sense like that something's a part of our path, or like we want that thing, usually it is. But what's usually off is our timing. A lot of times people that are intuitive, like they sense like when there's a potentially negative experience and they resist it, but as a result, like all the positive things that come after, they are not able to experience. Like, so we can't like skip through necessary developmental experiences. Like for example, a person might desire a specific job. Before they can get that job, they need to go through a period of unemployment, or they need to go through a period of a bunch of closed doors to learn something, or even to just to truly value the actual job when they get it. I see this a lot in love too, where there's can be a lot of disappointments, but they bring that person the lesson they need to learn, which may be in that, maybe it's a lesson like in superficiality and like not pursuing others based on their job or their income or their appearance, but like seeking something more. And so like if that's the lesson, then that person is going to have all these paths where, okay, I was drawn to this person's like attractiveness or whatever, and then they let me down, and then they let me down, and then they let me down, and then they let me down. Eventually they're gonna have extremely fulfilling love after having learned those lessons. But if they proceed on their path, like they're gonna be continuously sent in characters that are like, that they're attracted to for the ego reasons or whatever, and those connections are gonna fail. I don't see like wide open paths. Like I do not see just like do whatever you want. I see like this is what the soul is learning at this time, and there's pretty structured possibilities within what that soul is learning. I'm not always given the information about the timing, and often we're not meant to know, because if we did know, like, oh hey, that dream that you have, yeah, it is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen when you're 50, and like right now we're 15, we cannot cognitively handle that. So sometimes the guides won't tell us that. They'll just say, okay, do this next or whatever. Because the truth of the matter is like life is long and lives are getting longer. And so it's hard to negotiate between the guides and the clients sometimes, and to figure out how to get the message to the person in a way where they can take that next step without shutting down. And that there's a nuance to that. Typically what I see is if a lesson needs to be learned, every path, no matter which way the person feels they're turning, will lead them back to the lesson. And usually the great things in life like come after the lesson. If it appears that we have we may have options, but they're all basically the same. Like they're all just like basically like different manifestations of the exact same like type of experience. Like, oh my gosh, my battery's running out. Question. In terms of like the first interpretation I had, like as to whether there are many different life roots or is there just one? So there's like a general scope of the life, like every life contains challenge, every life contains opportunity, every life contains love. And as human beings, we all experience these. But in terms of different life roots, I mean, just look around you, like there's tons of different possibilities that you can come here and you can experience. This is a place of, you know, quite near infinite possibilities in terms of how you can plan an incarnation. Like I see what appears to be a lot of different paths on the outside, like a lot of different lifestyles, but on the inside, what most people go through, like their inner dialogue, their feelings, the highs, the lows, most people go through similar things, just at different times. Please come back tomorrow for the answer to the question that you really want to know about, okay? The one that everyone really wants to know about. That's gonna be our special Friday video. Happy Halloween! Oh my gosh. Happy Halloween, you guys. Happy Halloween.